Good morning, everyone. Want to go ahead and get started with this morning's call. Um, Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We are going to continue before we do anything else, just with Brian Tracy's self success um, from his success library. Something that I have been working on and working through this summer and wanted to share with you guys. I think that it is a fantastic resource. So right now he's talking about personal management skills. And he's talking about the inner game. So when it comes to personal management skills, there's the inner game and the outer game. And so the inner game, he does mention that he says that my favorite word in describing success is clarity. In my estimation, clarity accounts for 95% of your success and achievement in anything that you attempt to do in both your personal and your business life. And then right off of clarity, he says that set big goals for yourself. Now, what you're going to see is that as we go through here, a lot of it is going to be stuff that we've implemented, that we're trying to implement, because what I've found as I've studied success and as I've studied sales is that the foundation does not change. It is just whether we're applying what we know already or not. And you'll see even Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and Darren Hardy, they talk about success and the foundation and the basic traits and characteristics, and they're all the same. So set big goals for yourself. Begin by setting clear personal income goals for yourself on a monthly and annual basis. So this goes back to the worksheet that we have when we decide how much you want to make annually, and then we break it down to how much you need to make a quarter, per month. And since we're in sales, it will fluctuate a bit, but we can always tell if we're on track or on pace to hit our income goals based on our actions and our activities. And we'll actually see that in the next chapter 4 when it talks about our income goals. So you need to know what your income goals are on a monthly and an annual basis, and then you need to measure. We should always be checking where we are. And that's what the master dashboard is for, that I created in Google Drive. Now, I went in last night, and I made some changes. So for everyone who has not been keeping up with the master dashboard, I went ahead and I removed your goal numbers. So if you have not been keeping up with the master dashboard in Google Drive and putting your calls and your sales and pendings and everything in that, I went ahead and removed the goal numbers because I don't think it's fair for us as a team to look at a $54 million sales goal and then to see that only 3 or 4 people are actually updating the system. So I removed the other, I think, 7 goals. And I mean, that's just reality because I see now that we can provide the tools, we can provide the resources, but if you don't apply them, then it's not going to benefit anyone. And as probably later today, not probably, definitely after this call, so by the time the majority of you see this video, if you go back to the sales master dashboard, you'll see that your name has been removed totally, simply because we don't want to put energy and effort into something that you guys don't see a value in anyway. But after we go through this book, after I go through this section, you probably feel otherwise, and that's a whole different story. So after he says set big goals for yourself, the next one is know your ratios. And I'm not making this stuff up. You'll see right there it says know your ratios. It says once you have determined how much you want to sell and earn, you must then determine the exact sales activities that you will have to engage in to earn that amount. When and where you make individual sales is largely out of your control. So you can't control when and where you will sell, but here's what is important. But your actions are completely under your control. So you cannot choose where when and where your sales happen, but your actions can be determined by you. And then, as I said, there are three primary sales actions because this takes out listing appointments and buyer consultations and it just puts presenting. So we're going from 5 to 3. So the three primary activities of sales success are prospecting, presenting, and closing. So Brian Tracy, who is the leading sales success mentor, coach, and he's coming. He precedes Jeffrey Gitomer. If you guys see me talk about Gitomer's sales Bible, a lot of the information comes from Brian Tracy. So the three primary activities for sales success are prospecting, presenting, and closing. Something that he says in here that I highlighted: keep accurate records of the number of calls you make each day and week. And that's why we implemented the master dashboard, so that you will be able to keep an accurate record of the number of calls you make each day and week. The next part of selling is follow-up and closing the sale and keeping track. Once again, we want to be able to keep track so that we can know what our ratios are. The first step in any sales business is to keep your funnel full, so always prospecting, making sure that you have enough prospects and enough clients and customers to reach and achieve your sales goals. Set your priorities. Remember that 80% of your results come from 20% of your activity. That's the Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your income, 80% of our income as realtors is going to come from the 20% of the activities that we participate in. And those 20% of activities should be prospecting, presenting, and closing. Prospecting, presenting, and closing. Even when it goes back to our business, 20% of our clients, 20% of the people that we reach out to are going to result in 80% of our results. And depending on your sphere, depending on your prospect, it could be 80% of your business comes from 10 or 15% of your clients or sphere. Resolve to become results-oriented as opposed to activity-oriented. So this is why you always hear me talk about dollar productive activities, but what Brian Tracy is saying is take it to another level. Take it one step higher. So instead of only being focused on making sure that you do activity, I got my prospecting done, check. I got my door knocking done. I went through and I did this on social media. Brian Tracy wants us to become results-oriented as opposed to activity-oriented. So are we doing activities that are going to get us results? If we're not getting the results that we need and that we desire, we're not doing enough. That's just the blunt reality. So that's something that even myself that I have to stay focused on, because a lot of times it happens reverse for me. So I will be getting the results, but then I won't be doing all of the activities, and therefore I'm thinking, hey, well, if I did more of the activities, I'll get better results, which isn't always the case. So just take that for what it's worth. Most importantly, when it comes to setting your priorities, you need to develop a sense of urgency and a bias for action. Develop a sense of urgency and a bias for action. So this is the type where don't have paralysis by analysis. Don't get stuck thinking. You want to have urgency. So you don't want to, have paralysis by analysis or procrastination. And I think that we, in both of those areas, we as human beings, but then also in sales, we can say, well, I don't want to do this because I don't know enough, or I don't have all the facts. I don't have all the information I need. And here it says that you have to develop, a sense of urgency and a bias for action. Go ahead and take that step. Every top salesperson has a sense of urgency, So moving at a pace in life, but then also physically moving at a pace where you're always not in a hurry, but intentional about where you're going. And there are a couple of key questions that I want you to ask yourself. Why am I on the payroll? So why are we on our payroll of our individual companies or businesses? Your job is to prospect, present, and close. Prospect, present, and close. So even after me going through this again, and that's why I've gone through this book a number of times, but that's why it's so important to revisit and go through things over and over. Because I know that I've been hitting you guys with, the 5 things, make sure you're prospecting, make sure you're buyer appointment, listing appointment, negotiate. follow up. I'm now going back to prospect, present, and close. So when you hear me say prospect, present, and close, know where it's coming from. It's coming right here from the sales guru himself. And then, the last question to ask yourself when it comes to the inner game of personal management skills is what I'm doing right now leading to a sale? Is what I'm doing right now leading to a sale? If the activity that you're participating in is not leading to a sale, if it's not going to get more money in your pocket, if it's not going to get another number or another check on our dashboard, then is it worth doing at this moment? Now, there are things that are valuable and vital to our business that may not be necessarily vital or should be done at certain times of the day. And the next chapter talks about, how much time we actually work as salespeople a day. And that's going to be astonishing. Even after we put in, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, we'll see how much time that we work. And then Brian's last bit of advice is to avoid the trap of the low performer who talks a lot but actually does little. So all the talk means nothing if we're not prospecting, presenting, and closing. Prospecting, presenting, and closing. That's where we want to focus. So now we're going to jump to chapter 4, personal management skills, the outer game. This is the habits and the rituals. So the first one that he says is something that I believe in, and it has been up for debate for some people, but I don't think it's up for debate just as far as the universal rule or law of just those who get outstanding results. Get going early. The first habit you should develop is to get up and get going early. A recent study of the highest paid Americans shows that with few exceptions, they arise before 6 in the morning. So before 6 in the morning, that's when the highest paid Americans are getting up. So 5 o'clock, and I mean, there are all types of studies, all types of research that says that you gain an hour or 2 hours on the world when you do that, whether you're doing spiritual centering or exercise, all of that. That's something that you want to consider that I would implore each of you to do, to get up, get your day started early, get a jump start, head start on the rest of the world. When are you working? Now, here's the number that I want, because if I was reminded of this, and I think Brian Tracy, magnified this, fantastically when he said, according to different studies that go back to 1928, the average salesperson only works about 90 minutes per day. Now, at first when I read this and then when I reread it, it was kind of insulting. And I said, hold on, Brian, I know, at least 8 hours a day. But then what does it mean to actually work, right? What are the working hours? And then it says increase your face time. So face time is when you're face to face with a prospective customer. It says you are only working when you are face to face with a prospective customer. Do you want to double your income? If so, it's simple. Double your number of minutes that you spend face-to-face with prospects and customers. Now, I know you're going to say, Neil, well, I'm working when I'm prospecting. I'm working when I'm doing all this other stuff. But according to the definition here, that we're only working when we're face-to-face and that we're only working about 90 minutes a day, that's how we can double our income immediately. Brian Tracy says it. Brian Buffini says it. I guess all the Brians say it. But even Darren Hardy. So we want to make sure that while we're prospecting, hopefully I've done a good job training you all and you guys understand the importance of why we prospect is to get a face-to-face appointment. That's the ultimate goal. So it's not to answer the questions. It's not to send them videos, get them on mailing lists. Our purpose for prospecting is to get a face-to-face appointment. And the more face-to-face appointments we have, the more closings we have, simply because there is something that is in the atmosphere when you're face-to-face with someone that is not available when you are on the phone, sending emails back and forth. And so you want to turn that 90 minutes into 180 minutes. So if you can get 3 hours a day in front of face-to-face, in front of prospects, customers, clients, then you can expect your income to double, your sales to double. Right here, okay, sell more stuff. So let me ask you guys, why do you wake up in the morning? You don't have to answer aloud, but I want you to answer that to yourself. Why do you wake up in the morning as a salesperson? And I know all the fluff, all the good answers that we can give. The reality is, the reason that you get up out of bed and go to work in the morning as a salesperson is so you can make more money with 3 M's. The reason you wake up and get out of bed in the morning as a salesperson is to make more money. If you're not waking up to make more money, then you need to reevaluate first your career goals, and then you need to come back and say, okay, let me be honest with myself, make more money. And how do we make more money? In our industry, we make more money in 2 ways. We can either sell more stuff, SMS, or you can sell the same amount of stuff at higher prices. So right here, you want to sell more stuff or sell them at higher prices. Um, and then we're talking about your job is to make more money by selling more stuff. By this definition, you are only working when you are selling more stuff. And what are the ingredients of selling more stuff? We know that's prospecting, presenting, and closing. We're going to keep going back to PPC, prospecting, presenting, and closing. Okay, make every minute count. As a salesperson, you have to make every minute count. So I know what my dollar per hour is, but Brian challenged me this morning as I was reading back, getting prepared for you guys. And if we're only working 90 minutes, legitimately only working 90 minutes a day, then we as salespeople should not be calculating our income or calculating or creating our days based on hours. And I know that Darren Hardy did this to an extent when he said, don't look at your entire day. At the most, you want to do an hour and a half of focused energy and activity at a time. Tracy is telling us top people in their field, including sales, think of their time in terms of minutes rather than hours or half hours. So I did a fantastic job last night of planning my day to day. However, I still think of myself, my day, my activities in terms of hours and not in minutes. So now, after I get off this call and after I get the video uploaded, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. And I'm going to ask that question of myself, is what I'm doing right now leading to a sale? I know for a fact that I have to go through and I have to mark out and just revisit my calendar, because a huge part, and this is me being honest with myself and with you guys, I believe a huge part of my day is doing stuff that will not lead to a sale. It's just to check boxes. And that's a problem. And that's where I have to go back and get recentered and refocused. So once again, top people in every field, including sales, think of their time in terms of minutes rather than hours or half hours. Talks about resisting distraction, and this is avoid versus resist. If you've gone through, Darren Hart, if you've gone through insane productivity, do not allow technology to control your life and ruin your future. So that's whether it's social media, the phones, emails. I believe all of the coaches, all of the mentors, all of the top performers do things that are counterintuitive. So they don't have alerts on their phone. They don't have emails popping up. I work to implement those tactics, and they have resulted in good results as far as not having things show up on your computer, on your phone, that will distract you when you're in your jam session or your dollar productive activity moments. And then the last one, not the last one, something else here is go the extra mile. Resolve to go the extra mile every day. Always do more than is expected of you. And here's what I want you to do. Exceed even your own expectations. Whatever you have, expectations you have of yourself, I challenge you guys to exceed your own expectations. For me, this is right now, me exceeding my expectations are in 2 areas. The first would be when it comes to my time on my elliptical walker. Now, I'm always working to exceed my expectations. So even if I want to do 30 minutes or an hour, I want to go 1 more minute just so that I can exceed my expectations there. And then the next one is just the number of high net worth individuals I contact on a daily basis, whether that's by handwritten note, by phone, picking them up, or through connections and networks. So those are 2 areas where I'm working to exceed my expectations. Talks about guarding your health. Being intentional about taking care of our bodies, whether it's the way we eat or the way we exercise. Studies show that we all need about 200 minutes of exercise a week to be healthy if we have a good diet. So about 200 minutes a week to be healthy if we have a good diet. And we know that exercise is one deal, but then on the flip side of that, what you put into your body is a bigger deal because it will give you energy or it will make you sluggish. Look the part. Make sure that you look excellent on the outside, like a winner in every respect. 95% of the first impression that you make on other people will be determined by your clothes because even on a warm day, your clothes cover 95% of your body. All right. Your face, hair, and grooming are enormously important in projecting an image of confidence and credibility. Look around you at the highest paid people in your industry and then dress and groom the way they do. Now, once again, this is up for debate, especially as times are changing, but the rule is still there. There may be some exceptions, whether you're talking about, for ladies right now with it being hot outside, then we are having generational things where do you wear stockings in South Florida or not? Like that's something that, is up to you. Men, do you have beards or not? That's totally up to you. But other than that, always being the best, looking the best. I tell everyone, and it's no secret that when they ask me, why do you dress up ABC when it's only A required? And I tell them my goal is to be the best dressed person in every room. And if someone else feels uncomfortable about that, then that's not my issue, that's theirs. So I will be presenting in the Keys in September of this year. So I'll be presenting at two different locations, 2 different days in the Keys. And it's said that, when you present in the Keys, you need to wear shorts, you need to wear polo. Otherwise, they're going to think you're an outsider. I'm okay with that. So if you're watching this video and you're in the Keys and you're expecting me in September, just know that I'm still going to show up in Key West, in Marathon, in the lower Keys, in a shirt and tie, in a suit, because I believe that you have to look the part everywhere you go. Be physically fit. I already mentioned that. You need about 200 minutes of exercise per week to be in shape. And then here's the last one, and I think that we neglect, we take this one for granted because we've gotten caught up in the hustle, go atmosphere or belief pattern of the world or the United States. The rule is this: if you're going to work 5 days per week, go to bed early 5 days per week. You need 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night and perhaps more if you're going to be fully rested and capable of making high quality sales calls all day long. A couple of things says you would need 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but that's if you want to be productive and capable of making high quality sales calls all day long. If that is not your goal, you might be able to skate by on 5 or 6 hours. Now, looking at that, don't forget we want to look at waking up before 6 a.m. So you might have to change your calendar or get naps in. So those are all things, and these are best practices, tips, procedures that Brian Tracy has, one of the top sales trainers in the world, has, and I believe in everything that he said and that he shared on there. So those are things that I'm going to continue to implement, that I will continue to make available to you all. If you don't have the book, if you haven't seen it or haven't read it, with Brian Tracy's Sales Success, I believe it's a fantastic book. I think it's one that every salesperson should have in their library. It's a quick, easy read. He has a number of books in his success library. So I think that would be a great place for you all to start. All right. So with that said, I am going to open, before I ask you guys to, or open it up for you guys to ask any questions, I do want to challenge you guys to know your ratios. Once again, I know I sound like a broken record. Know your list price, well, not list price, sales price. Know your conversion rate, your conversion ratios. We want you guys to know that, so you know how many phone calls you need to make to get appointments, to have face-to-faces, to get contracts, to closings. Because if you don't know that, you cannot run a successful and profitable business. It will not happen. other than that, make sure that you're looking at your stats. Make sure that you are diving in and that you know what's happening in your market, that you know the list price to sales price ratios, median days on market, and the months of inventory. If you're working in a specific demographic or geographical region, know the number of sales that are taking place, the number of new pendings, new active, new listings coming on. All that information, because you want to be in the top 20% of the industry. So you're going to hear a huge push. I am going to have a huge push right now, starting today on July 16th, to get in the top 20% in the industry across the board. So that's for the listings, for the sales price, the market share, everything. And we've already began to do some things. I've started to do some things individually on a personal level, but then I'm going to encourage you guys as well to focus on prospecting, presenting, and closing so that we all can be in the top 20% in the industry. All right, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, additions, subtractions, go ahead and unmute and ask your questions. All right. Did you raise? Is that a raised hand? I don't. Okay. Can you unmute yourself, DeAndre? I don't even know how you raise your hand, homie. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can unmute you again. All right, DeAndre, go ahead, sir. You are live on the line. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Did you have a question, DeAndre? Oh, and we're muting DeAndre. I don't know how he raised his hand. I don't know if you guys can see it. I do want to congratulate DeAndre. He has a property under, he has a client under contract that should be closing hopefully today. It's a significant rental. So hats off to you, DeAndre. We have Stacy, who is continuing to rock and roll, put another one of her listings under contract. So hats off to you, Stacy. And Jonita is continuing to do all of the right stuff. So it's only going to be a matter of time before we are all bowing down to Jonita as she continues or as she begins a windfall of activity with sale after sale after sale coming in. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you guys, continue to study, continue to train, continue to get better. Look at the contracts, review them, and get familiar with those. Go into the Google Drive and look at the resources that you have available to you. The listing agreement that we have, the marketing agreement, whatever you want to call it, have that. But then also, when you're not doing a dollar productive activity, get into the Florida Realtors website. Take a look there. Get into the realtor.org site. Go in and get information. Learn. Become a student of this. I want you guys eating, sleeping, breathing this when it is real estate time, when it's work time, when it's family time or leisure time, do that. But when it's not, and when we are here, don't forget that we wake up every day to make more money, and the way we do that is by selling more stuff. And how do we do all of that? It goes back to prospecting, presenting, and closing. But the foundation underneath prospecting, presenting, and closing, that gets better, that gets stronger when we know our stuff. So become a student of sales, become a student of personal development and the real estate industry that we're in. Look at a couple of feeder markets that are coming in to Florida. So I think that we all need to be aware of New York. We need to be looking at the international, which I'm doing a huge push on, a continued push and a continued effort to have some international clients coming in, and then build referral relationships with agents outside of South Florida. I have a number of referrals that came in this past week simply because I've been identified as a trustworthy and reputable source and colleague. So make sure you guys are always continuing to build those relationships because they will pay dividends in the end. So for Jonita and Stacy, for you ladies in WCR, continue to use that platform um, to get your exposure and your professionalism and your expertise out there. Let's leverage video, whether we are sending the video messages to our clients, prospects, or customers, or if we're going to do a generic video email out to our sphere or whatever. We want to make sure that we're doing that so that we can maximize those opportunities. Because it's just something about people seeing us, seeing your face, and you speaking to them that will just garner a feeling of excitement and appreciation and connection and community. So let me ask you guys to do something today. So if you all would send out at least a minimum of 5 video messages, MMS messages from your phone just to someone today. I would love for it to be a prospect or a colleague or a client, customer, something like that. But if not, let it be to a family member, and let's make that a habit where we're trying to reach 5 people a day, whether it is in our phones or if you want to do it on Facebook or through some social media platform, just to wish someone else a happy birthday, happy anniversary, a work anniversary. But let's get our face in front of them so that they will start to see the visual of us. All right, that's all I have for today. I'm going to ask one more time if there's anything that you guys want to share. Go ahead and unmute yourself. All right, Stacy, Jonita, DeAndre, thank you guys so much for being on the call. Hold on now, DeAndre, you raising your hand again. We're going to unmute you. Let's see. All right, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, I need to talk to you. I actually have a check for a closed rental, and I need to talk to you about some other stuff. So if you have a moment today, I need to talk to you.
All right, so how about this? Give me 3 minutes once we hang up the phone. Once we get off this, and then I'll call you directly.
All right, cool.
All right. Good job, sir. Congratulations to you on that, DeAndre. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic day, a fantastic week. I will be getting some face-to-face time back on the schedule, on the calendar this week. But I would like for everyone to be present as much as possible for the face-to-face. But I would really love for you guys to do face-to-face with clients. So set those appointments, get those prospecting calls done so that we can present, whether it is with buyers or sellers, so that we can close. Because each of you, I hope you're seeing this, when you all get in front of clients, when you guys get in front of people, your conversion rates are pretty darn good. I would say excellent, but I don't want to boost your conversion rates are pretty darn good. We just need to get in front of more people. We need more appointments. And then I believe that each of you can see that once you have the appointments and you're in front of the people, they are responding very well to what we're saying, to your skill level. So continue to work on that. Continue to improve those areas. And let's just get in front of more people. We still have about a month of getting in front of people while the summer is still here. I know in Broward, school starts back August 15th. That would be a great thing that you can remind your customers and clients and circle about I don't know if they're about the no tax days for the school shopping. If you want to do that, you could also remind, everyone in your sphere about upcoming things such as when school starts. Don't forget that, the traffic patterns and the travel will change a bit. All right, guys. So I love you all. Have a fantastic day. Don't be average. Be world renowned. This video will be up a little bit later today. And DeAndre, I'll be calling you shortly. Love you guys. Bye.